Okay, so this is the deaf culture korero. Something that I found interesting was a comment. Oh, now I lost it. Um, yes, Shine. Um, he noted or she noted that there's two like factors in terms of a culture. A culture is created from a push and a pull. So you're pushed from the dominant culture if you are a minority. So in this case, it's the deaf people feeling ostracized, isolated, not being able to take part in their own decision making and so on. So that's like a push away from that dominant culture. But then the minority is the pull. So finding a place where the communication is their communication, the way like visual language, sign language, jokes, all that kind of thing is aligned to them. So that's the pull. So I
Mhm.
hadn't thought about a culture in terms of a push and a pull before. Did you come across that?
Yeah, at work we hear a lot about deaf culture, and it was really good to take this deeper dive to get a full understanding of what that is, and that you are not. They talk about not being born into the culture. It's something that you've got to be surrounded by. Um, so I found that really interesting because I think, what about our students that are born to hearing parents,
Mm,
and they and the hearing parents don't have that deaf
yes.
culture. Although I read that they can be part of the deaf culture with,
Yes.
yeah, which is very cool. But if they don't know much about it, then how can they expose it to their student? And it's sort of come on around to our Connect days. And I knew that they were about culture and identity, but it sort of emphasized how very important those kit days were. And a bit of a question to put out there, I was thinking the kit Connect days, keep referring to them as kit
Yeah.
days, um, seem to be really heavily focused on curriculum. And I get that, but I wonder, is that our main focus for them?
No, it's
Like,
supposed to be about learning. It should be, well, it might have some curriculum, but it's supposed to be the deaf studies. So learning about deaf culture and the
yes.
different strands of the deaf studies.
Whereas I wonder if we've moved away from that too much and
Mm,
started to get hung up on the curriculum and it has to meet X, Y, and Z. Whereas I think the vehicle for the Connect Days should be finding culture and identity
yeah.
and role models. It's sort of it just made me think because I'm in the middle of preparing Connect Day for Term 3, and it is logistically very trying, and just trying to fit in and looking at all the curriculum achievements it fits when I keep thinking this was not my thought of what it was the focus
Now,
was.
maybe that could be your mata, could be looking at Connect Days and how much time is spent on the deaf culture part and how, because like the curriculum, I mean, it should have a curriculum part, but not much. Like you only need one objective, but it should
Yeah.
be largely what my understanding is largely the deaf culture. So maybe that could
Yes.
be one of your mata things is to have a conversation with Alexandra and see what is the
Mm.
balance of
Yeah. And
Connect
because I
Days.
think some of our students need explicit teaching on the deaf culture.
Yes, they do, because that's exactly reinforcing what you just said, because 95% are born to hearing parents.
Mm.
And how they learn about their culture is having deaf role models and learning about history and the history of sign language and so on.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
think it's really, really important.
It was
Um,
interesting as well to see that deaf culture seems to be moving, it's ever evolving as well. I referred to an article that I put in my first portfolio about one of our students who both parents deaf. Um, I think they had like four children, one hearing, three deaf, and they decided to get their children implanted. And at the time, the deaf community, that was a big thing for them to accept, um, especially from deaf parents.
yes, I know it really does give you that question because what would you do for your child if they were born deaf without knowing what we know now? We probably would have
Yes.
just straight away put the And I think I probably would, but I would still do loads and loads around the deaf culture.
Yeah.
Because I ran into someone at the doctor's the other day and I knew her like when our kids were little, and then her boy had two hearing aids. And I said, oh, do you have any time with katakana and stuff? And then I said to her about sign language. I said, well, are you teaching sign language? And she's like, oh, no. I said, what about when it takes them off and you go swimming or something? I hadn't thought about that. And
Yeah.
it's, you just perhaps wouldn't. You would want to say, oh, no, you're fine. You're like everyone else.
You're
You can do
hearing now.
everything. You're hearing and don't let this hold you back and stuff. But that's not the right way because that's a real deficit model. Um,
Yes.
I found it interesting listening to the recounts of the adult deaf people. It was a Irish video. I'm not sure if you saw it.
Yes.
They had a lot of voiceover, but just how much of an influence the parents had and the schools had, and about deaf and dumb, and the use of the word dumb, like it's really quite traumatic for them.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a theme that comes through all of them, isn't it? You were not you were deaf, so you were dumb. You weren't as
yeah,
smart as everyone else, and you were off
yeah,
in your unit or whatever.
yeah. Um, and also parents having to make really big decisions about schooling, like do you go to this school because it has this or this school? And most involve some kind of travel and therefore away from your family. But they're really big decisions that they've had to make. And the children, they never, I don't know about you, but I never felt like they blamed their situation on their parents. Like they kind of like, dad thought this because, and mum decided that because, and you could see that they had come to terms with their parents' decision, but it still had a massive impact on them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have liked to have been that one.
I don't know if it was this one or the identity module, but a lot of what came through was deaf people seemed to be happier, more connected in deaf schools.
Yes.
And it was when they went to mainstream that
Yeah.
they came a cropper. They didn't meet their tribe. They didn't have that community. So it's always been one for mainstreaming, but it makes me think like, really, is that the best option?
Yes. Should we talk about deaf identity then?
Yes.
I'll pull up my
Likewise.
notes. Oh, yes. Um, I had trouble getting that Amanda Everett. I couldn't understand. There was no transcript script for some of her videos,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I could get the gist of it. But yeah, no, I think this is the one actually, isn't it? This experiencing deafhood, the Signal project. That was the one where I thought that the influence of the parents was super strong. But it was interesting
Oh, that
listening.
was the one where the mum cried.
Oh,
Um,
didn't see that one. Was
yeah,
it a
that
Māori?
was
There was a
no,
Māori. Oh,
um, it was just she felt like I got the impression she felt like because her child had been mainstreamed to start with and then went to the deaf unit, that she had almost robbed those years from her child because her child was didn't know who she was. She wasn't learning. She was just at school. And then the transformation when she went, oh no, I was talking about a conference, the transformation that when she went to a conference for deaf people, she'd found her people and her mum, I think, had felt this is what she needed all along. But like you said, no blame on the parents. It wasn't a blame game. It was
no.
just sooner and a lot of those short videos, as soon as they found their deaf people, they were just like, oh, I'm home.
Yes.
Like one guy was talking about he went to a house party with deaf and he was there and he looked out the window and he saw some lights and he was like, what? Is there a car coming or what? And he said, but he realized it was the sun coming up and it was like 5 a.m. He had never been to a party for so long because he just couldn't lip read for that long and it was just too hard. He'd always left early, but he found his people and the time had gone like that.
That's
So
so cool.
yeah, and that just makes you think about the deaf units and the deaf schools. They have that. They have the identity. They have the culture
They
through
truly
no
do.
fault. Yeah.
But we've got a pickle because we won't accept people that are accessing their learning perfectly fine
Mm.
now. You have to be oars to go to our provision. So if you are, if you know, even if you're good at signing and keeping up with all your curriculum and whatnot, I believe you can't come to our school. Is that right now?
I don't know. I don't
'Cause
know.
yeah, it's really, some people are being strategic about when they implant their children. So they can come
Really?
in, yeah, so they can come in always level one.
Ah,
Yeah, we could probably, yeah. And then get them.
goodness. Yeah.
Because they see the benefit of their child being at a deaf school. And I think
Yeah.
it's a right, is it not? Isn't it? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It is a
Well,
human right, isn't it? Because part of the human rights and the treaty is to for your self-identity. And
I know, but we don't have like autistic schools in, do we? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just being
yeah,
devil's advocate. We've got Maori schools, we have religious schools, we have some Pacifica
do the deaf
units.
but the deaf identify themselves as a culture
Yeah.
on its own. Do the autistic community yet identify themselves as
See,
a culture?
I feel like they might because now, like, in the autistic paper, refer to themselves autistic first, people
Mm.
second. Whereas,
Yeah.
as a teacher, I was like, oh gosh, no, child first, disability
Yeah.
second. And then they're like, it's not disability. It's a way of being. And same with
So that
deaf,
is a
it's not a
culture.
disability. So I think autism will end up being like a culture. I don't know, that's just my guess, but it was
Mm.
very interesting, very, very interesting. How we're going to do this at school, and it's not even us; it's the ministry. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I
we can influence, though, I suppose.
well, it made me think, do we have our Connect days enough?
Yes. I thought about like our online teaching, and it's, we have some students, but what about the others? What about the full signers that are doing quite well in their schools
Mm.
around New Zealand? Do they have a chance to come together? With the deaf youth hui, I suppose they could. Um,
But even the ones with for online learning, the ones with direct RTDs don't often make the online learning either. So they still might be the only child in their school
that's
who
right.
is deaf.
Yeah. But like we know so much about well-being now and identity. Something that I thought about for my masa for this one was talking to, or intending to talk to Trooper Store. He has a well-being survey that he
That's
uses.
right.
Um, I don't know if he has a question, are my parents deaf or hearing or both? Because
Okay.
what
Yeah.
about I just have this theory that the well-being of a deaf person with a deaf family, might not be their parents, might be auntie, someone, grandparent, might have a better sense of belonging and sense of self in terms of their deafhood than someone who's born in hearing.
I'd
And
say
can we
you're right.
track and can we track that data? So that's my matter
Mm.
when I read to it later.
It's really interesting you said that because I wrote on my thing, I wonder what if we took the our deaf students in the deaf provisions and gave them a well-being
We do.
survey.
Yeah,
And but then if we took the ones in the
we
outreach,
do. You can compare.
and it would be really interesting to see those that are, I mean, there are ones in outreach that are part of the deaf community, but there are ones that aren't. It would just be really interesting to weed through that and see.
Yeah. So you can, because you could just ask, you could just email Trevor and he can give you that data because he's already got it.
Yeah,
So that could be a matter for you.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors there as well. Like you say, if they have a deaf auntie or a deaf
Yeah.
relative, that draws them, hopefully, to deaf
Yes.
culture and deaf identity.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting. Did you see the interview with Paddy Ladd and how he just came up with the deaf hood?
yes, yeah.
Because I thought it was like childhood and like growing acceptance of your deafness, but his we're listening to him like, oh, actually, that is part of it, but it's not all of it. And
Mhm.
claiming, like reclaiming and taking away from deafness with the medical and all of this. It was quite interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's it's definitely come a long way. Still got a long way to go, but definitely come a long way. But
Yes,
it's
because
just,
that Carly Gooch woman, no, it was Asti Myra. She wrote the article and the attitude thing, but that was in 2020, and she got cochlear implants when she was a teenager. And she said if she'd been born 5 years before or later or something, things would be a whole lot better because of the way the NZSL and deaf culture and all of this is, celebrated.
Yeah.
That was written 6 years ago, so she's talking about like the 10-year lag. So you wonder, what will our students now, what they will perceive.
Mm.
But we do know their wellbeing scores are lower than they should be
Yes.
internationally.
When we did that survey, a couple of students said when the question was something, how do you refer to yourself, deaf or hard of hearing? I think there was something like that. A couple were like, not deaf,
Lots,
not deaf at
lots of
all.
lots of students didn't identify as deaf. That
Mm.
was the big surprise from that survey.
And what's our role in that?
I know. Because the parent might say, stop telling my child that they're deaf, they're not, they can hear, they can do this and that, and you're labeling them and making them feel, but we're not.
Yeah.
We're becoming as a celebratory angle.
Yes. Yeah. From our hearing point of view.
Yes, from our oldest point of view.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to talk about another one? What one did you?
Um, I've just got the locating one, but I had a feeling we had talked about that.
I think, yeah, I've done that at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's
That
all
was
right.
just,
I'm finished. Would you like to talk about something?
um, well, no, I think I'll talk with you when you've done it, the Hiwatanga theory,
Okay,
because it would
cool.
be really interesting to hear your take on it at the same time rather than me just going,
Okay.
but
I'm looking forward to getting into that one.
spoiler alert, Asperger's is tied up with the whole Nazi theory.
Yes.
I didn't know about that. I was
Yeah.
very intrigued.
And
Yeah.
it's Asperger's is not a thing anymore, is it?
No, it's not. But yeah, didn't know that. Well, I knew it wasn't, but I didn't know why, and it's very interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just going to end the recording, but we can still stay on the